Welcome back. I am talking today about list building. So the other day I taught a workshop and the participants had some really great questions that I ended up sharing with my community. And it turns out more and more people have these type of questions. So I thought I would actually just take the questions that some people asked during the session and then answer them again for everybody here on this recording. To me, list building is all about building up our email list so that not only can we start nurturing and converting sales today, but we can also have those sales down the way. It's all about creating lifetime value for our audiences, for our communities, and obviously for our paying customers. So as our business evolves, we shift our offers, we change things. We've got this thriving email community that is always interested in our content. We're always giving really great juicy, nurturing pieces of high value to them that when we decide to shift or pivot or bring in something new, it feels like just the right time also for our audience. It's always something that I'm consciously aware of because as an owner of a business, I kind of wear two hats most of the time. I wear a CEO hat where I have to be thinking about profit, loss, revenue, turnover, churn, all these type of metrics. And then there's the artist side of me that I'm always thinking about what is the newest thing that my clients are talking about and that I really need to make sure that I'm kind of ahead of things, always sort of like one or two steps ahead of them so that I can bring them just-in-time training, just-in-time resources. By creating an email list that's thriving, not just sort of like this graveyard where we've dumped people from our directory, that we actually can call on these people at various points in time in our yearly revenue cycle, but even over the lifetime of our business. I look to business leaders out there like the Jenna Kuchers, the Amy Portersfields, the Maria Forleos that all talk about list building, and they all have these massive lists of like 40, 60,000 subscribers. That's eventually where I'd love my business to go. This year, my goal is to get my list to 10,000. In my workshop, Your List Building Blueprint, which I'll share the link in the captions for you, you can sign up for the next one. We go through all the steps that are required to really build this thriving foundation so that when people are subscribing to your email list, that when they get there, it's like this warm, cozy place for them to hang out in. Appetizers are already served. Refreshments are there at the bar. People can start indulging in really great content with you, and that you also continue to do this really well. But some of the questions that came out from participants in the workshop were, well, how do we get it all done? Because it's really natural for, I think, people to sort of think that way. I love to stay in the why and the what for as long as possible, but it's natural for people on the receiving end of this information to go, okay, how do you get this all done, Brenda? One of the core tenets that I talk about is having a signature offer. A signature offer should reflect 80% of your total revenue with 20% effort. Now, when we start our signature offer, we start selling it, we start launching it out to our community, by no means am I expecting that that's the ratio that your signature offer is performing at. That's where we want to get to. And we're only going to get there if we're focused on one signature offer. When I started my business 5-6 years ago, I learned from other business coaches that you should have an offer suite, which I agree to some extent, but not right away in your business. You really need to master selling. You really need to master the customer experience. Also, how do you manage your back-end operations? The easiest or the most effective way to do that, nothing is always ever easy, but we can talk about the most efficient and effective way to do that is to have one signature offer. Quite frankly, even after 5 years of being in business, now that I'm landed on what my true value and my signature offer is, I couldn't even see coming up with something else afterwards. Now, do I have high ticket offers in the background? Do I send my members inside my Aligned AF community to other offers? Absolutely. And when it's the right time and it's the right place for them and for me, I also launch those. But I'm very, very clear that I have one signature offer, and this is the route to work with me. If it doesn't work for some people, that's okay, because at the end of the day, there's 8 billion people on the planet, and I don't need to work with all 8 billion people. I don't even think I want to work with all 8 billion people, but I don't need to necessarily work with all 8 billion people all at one time. So if it's not the right time, if it's not the right price, all those type of things, that's okay. But I'm going to put my signature offer out there. And I know that in this pool of 8 billion people, there's going to be somebody out there. Quite a few people, I know that to be true because I've tested the offer. I have people that are thriving in my community, giving me great feedback every week about their experience inside the community. I know I'm hitting the mark on some things. There's always room for improvement. And that's where the 80-20 rule comes in. So the improvement, the efficiencies, the effectiveness comes through in that 20% effort. We're always tweaking things. We're always refining things. Could we make the payment processing better? Could we make the onboarding process better? How can I make sure that the engagement is better? And always making sure that we're finding those things. Not to necessarily make a monster to-do list for ourselves, but I think our to-do list gets bigger when we've got multiple offers that we're trying to sell and manage and refine. If we only have one, that makes it a lot smoother for us. So let's get into some of these questions. Okay, the first one is, this participant asked about balancing between high ticket versus course models and how to make the schedule easy for yourself. Could you have like a high ticket and a course, and we'll define the difference between these things as a signature offer. So again, going back to that sort of general principle about what makes a signature offer, I think, successful is one offer. So I think getting into that mindset of like, do I have a mastermind? Do I have a course? One of the things that I would probably recommend is, first and foremost, going back to your vision for your business and going back to the vision that you've also set for your life. I talk about this quite a bit in my course, that before I jump into solution mode, is it this widget? Is it this widget? Let's go back to your vision, values, and goals that you have for your life and your business. And what is it telling you? We did a simple exercise in the workshop where it was like, identify what's important to you in your life and in your business, and also what's not important to you and you don't want to see come up in your life and your business. And make sure that those activities, those hows, those whats are scheduled into your calendar every week. Or the answer to that question about should I have a mastermind or a course as my signature offer, I think your vision is going to tell you that. So, but here's a couple of things to kind of consider when you do that. So do the vision work first, make sure you're clear on your values, know what the goals are that you have for your life and your business over the next 1 to 3 years. Gone are the days that you need to have a strategy plan for the next 10 years. Like maybe have an idea about where you're headed 10 years from now. Like if I'm 55, I know I'll be 65 in 10 years. What will my health be like? Where will my kids be at in their sort of spectrum? How do I want to be spending my time in my business? It's kind of good to have that idea. But I think with the changes so much in the online business space, technology, customer offers, and customers' expectations, to predict what business is going to be like 10 years from now and what your offer suite is going to look like 10 years from now is just too far reaching. So 1, 2, 3 years out as far as goals, I think is a good sort of spectrum to look at. Then always keep up to date on it. Like when I came from corporate, we'd write these 10-year visions and 10-year goals and then kind of put it in a time capsule and look at it every now and then. This should be something that you're always consulting with. When you're making decisions on your day, on your week, your to-do list, it's like go back to your vision, values, and goals. I always find too that if I'm feeling out of alignment, and I know I'm out of alignment when I feel tension in my body, if I go back to my vision, values, and goals, it usually tells me like, yeah, like this is the stuff that you wanted to do and you're doing the complete opposite. No wonder you're feeling stressed. No wonder you're feeling tired, because you're trying to juggle between these two lives, these two definitions of your vision, one that you've got written down that you committed to, and this other one that's showing up in your calendar that you are not controlling, that you are not advocating for, you're not committed around. So it's a good way for me to stay disciplined and get in check with myself. Okay, I got my haircut the other day and my bags are in my face and it's driving me crazy, but anyways, we'll work through this. Life of an entrepreneur. So I'm just referring to some of my notes here on my iPhone just to make sure I stay on track. Okay, so let's go into some examples, I think, of when we're talking about signature offers, because signature offers could be low ticket or medium ticket, depending on however you think about pricing, and then high ticket. Like there's a whole spectrum. So let's talk about it from the sort of lower ticket courses, membership templates model. So the audience that we would be attracting into our orbit to sell those type of offers would be quick wins, low risk investments, right? You know, like a course, it's going to get me this result. I'm going to be able to do X, Y, and Z by the end of these 10 modules. Awesome, sign me up, let's go. And so the numbers, like the volume needs to be higher as far as the number of people that you're attracting into your orbit. And let's just say the course is priced at $297 as an example. But to hit like a 10K month of recurring revenue, and I think that's really important to think about, is this just a one-hit launch, or is this something that you're going to sell on the repeat and have recurring revenue coming in at $10,000 a month or more? You need at least 37 purchases. So with a conversion rate of 3%, you'll need about 1,300 leads per month coming into your email list, or whatever you've got existing that, you know, the open rates are really high, the click rates are really high. But that'll be something that we talk about, is how do we get our open rates up and our click rates up so that, you know, that conversion isn't so hard to get, or that we don't have to have 1,300 leads coming into our funnel every month. But I think that's one of the things to think about. The reason why, say, the Jenna Kuchers and the Amy Portersfields can run courses at $297 or $497 and get the volumes that they get is that they've been at it a long time. And so they have these big email lists. But maybe they weren't starting off bringing in 1,300 leads a month. They were maybe bringing in 50 leads a month because depending on their ad budget or their outreach campaigns or their social media, where it was back then would have been very different. Now they've also got probably the dollars to invest in the advertising. That 1,300 leads a month seems pretty reasonable, but they're also not making 10K months. They're making much more than that. You just need to think about, okay, well, what's my budget? What can I invest in advertising? Or how long do I have to bring in people organically to be able to hit that $297 price point and bringing in 10K months on an average of 37 purchases a month. You're going to have to think about, marketing forward content, trying to get out to the masses, going, doing reels, trying to get in front of new audiences. Paid ads, visibility is going to be really important to you. Showing up in maybe other people's masterminds or group programs to be able to talk about your area of expertise and again, building out your audience. Freebies to get people into your funnel and nurturing them on the back end in your email system is going to be absolutely critical. So if you like doing that type of work and you like building things and you also have the bandwidth to do that as a solopreneur, then running courses, memberships, and templates could be a really great signature offer for you. The other alternative is for my signature offer, could it be a group program, a one-to-one coaching, or a mastermind? The answer is, the short answer to the end of the story is yes, absolutely, as could a course, a membership, or templates. Understand too that the audience that you're trying to attract for a group program or one-to-one coaching or masterminds, it's going to be more personalized. It's going to be more in-depth solutions, especially if it's one-to-one coaching. People are going to expect that you're not just following a script, but you're also, okay, today maybe we'll just go off track and we'll do this, or we'll get back on track today and we'll do that. They're going to want that customization, and it may require a lot more from you. But the cool thing is that whenever people have greater proximity to you, that personalization, that customization, I would end up charging more. Let's just pretend that the group program that you want to run is going to be $3,500. You're going to need 3 students a month. Let's assume that this is an evergreen program and that people can come in. We want to get into that monthly recurring revenue. We're not just falling back on the launch period where we have this like $50,000 launch or an $80,000 launch. So it's priced at $3,500. You'll need about 3 students to come in, and that's about 100 leads a month, right? Based off of that 3% conversion rate. So a little bit different. We're talking about 1,300 leads a month for the course and 100 leads a month for your mastermind or your group program. So your to-do list, as far as like weekly, monthly, and what that looks like in your business, is more facilitation forward, reframing your offer, proven and repeatable markets, showing the case studies, showing the transformations. Now, do people get transformation in courses? Sometimes. It's probably more in a course or a membership. It's like, oh, wow, that was great information. That helped me out a lot today. In a mastermind or in one-to-one coaching, it's a longer term transformation. I was living my life or doing this in my work or my relationships. And after spending 3 months with Brenda or 6 months with Brenda, I'm now no longer doing that. And I'm doing this habit instead, right? It's more of a habitual behavioral change. And so the impact is greater. And you want to be able to show that over a time period. Like, Sally came in and started working with me here, and she was doing this in her business, and this was causing this type of pain point for her. And then we put these applications in place, and over time and through practice and implementation and feedback and follow-up and coaching, she was able to now master this in her business. So the payment's going to be higher. The type of marketing is going to look very, very different. And the transformation, right, is going to be longer. So you just have to sort of think about like where you want to spend your time. And it's all going to be in how you like to operate as that CEO or that artist in your business. So to summarize with that question, go back to your vision and values and goals. Declare for yourself in your business. Maybe I'm more of an artist this year, but my goal in my business is to get to more of the CEO. And for me, it makes sense to have a mastermind that is repeatable, that I can do launches around, and I can bring people in, on an evergreen basis, and I can have a team that can maybe help me manage the payment processing and the onboarding, etc. And then when I come in to do the personalized, customized work, it doesn't feel like such heavy lifting for me. That's your business, and go with it and own it. But do you launch the mastermind and the course and this all at the same time. This is where I think it's a recipe for disaster. Run with the mastermind and do it really well and refine the systems and figure out where you can start delegating and offloading things to potentially a team or a contractor that can help you out, or a VA that can help you out in some of the administrative, that you can really give everything you need to give to that mastermind. Or love the course and be out there front facing on podcasts, teaching in other people's group forums, getting your expertise out there, building your list, putting some advertising dollars towards it, continually refining that course and making it the best course ever, and that people can get their solutions met right away and feel like they're on the right track. Okay, the next question that came up in the workshop was about the investment of time and team support running my community. This is about my community, the Aligned AF community, and this actually came from one of my members inside the community that was attending this workshop. And she just wants to know how I get all the things that I get done. Because I mentioned earlier that I tend to wear more of the artist hat. I love creating things. I love to be sort of in beta testing mode, trying things out with the members inside the community, responding to, Brenda, I've got this issue, I've got this question, and then me coming up with a solution for them that I know is not only going to help them, but it's also going to help other people out in the business. Like right now, I'm beta testing a few things around list building, even in my own business. And then I'm sharing it with the community, almost kind of like a live case study for them. And I'm letting them know that come spring, we're probably going to get into a mini mastermind around that. And from members in the community that are really excited about diving into what I'm doing in my business to build my list more. And they want to really get not just an outsider's perspective looking in, but get in there and work on the implementation of it themselves in their own business and have me as their coach, guiding them, pointing them in the right direction and getting them back on track. And from an accountability standpoint, making sure that they're following through on things, then that's something that I'm beta testing right now. I love that about my membership, is that I get to beta test things that I'm doing in my business with the members in the community, and they're equally as interested and they want to get involved in it. I am that artist. I can go down rabbit holes. I can create things. I have in the past created entire courses and programs and never launched them, just because I took so long creating it that I either sort of felt I lost that window, someone else was better at doing it, I got in my own head around it, and then the idea of actually launching it was exhausting. Now I'm in this iterative process. I call it, a flywheel approach, where it's like I do one thing and it actually, it's like the flywheel where it can spin around and touch multiple aspects of my business. So the big thing for me is getting content out. Like I used to post something on Instagram today, and then I would go over LinkedIn tomorrow and post something there, and then I would write a blog over here, and then I would do a video for my membership, and then it was just like something separate for every little area, partly because I was trying to figure out the algorithm on what is LinkedIn required for me to get 1,000 views or whatever I'm trying to strive for there, and what does it require on Instagram, and knowing that each algorithm, each platform is different, it just was so taxing. And now what I'm doing is, the ultimate goal, and everyone always talks about this, create high value for your customers. And what does high value actually mean? So the membership community is amazing because every week members are either posting content, responding to one of my polls, asking me a question one-to-one about something, wanting to get feedback in our on-demand video feedback form tool that I have inside the community. I'm constantly hearing behind the scenes what's going on in people's businesses, and what their pain points are, what their struggles are, what their wins are, how they want to get more wins in that area. This is like just rich content, knowing that I want to attract more members like the members that I've got. All I need to do is just take some of those stories, some of the data that I'm collecting through that membership, and now turn it into content. But I don't need to create it, I don't need to create 10 different topics of content. I just take one thing and now make it into content. Case in point, I ran the workshop for my list building blueprint the other day. Members and new participants came to that workshop. They listened, they applied, they had questions for me. I took those questions into a Q&A format. It's on my phone right here. I'm literally just reading off my phone. I'm now recording this into a YouTube video. What I'm going to do after this YouTube video is I'm going to take the transcript of this video now, and I'm going to drop it into either ChatGPT, Claude, or Perplexity. Sometimes I do all three because I'm just curious to see, based off of their writing algorithms, what they actually come up with. But I instruct the writing app to basically come up with an email message for me. I let them know that I want to take the video and put it on YouTube. I want to showcase it on my podcast, and I want to make sure members in my community, as well as my email list subscribers, are learning from my example, from my experience, things that I'm going through in my own business, and then I'm sharing on these YouTube videos. And then they can take it into their own business. But it's also a way for them to get a deeper glimpse into how I operate. When I used to think about YouTube, for example, I would just be like, okay, this is like, I would do my podcast and I would just put something on YouTube. But now I'm actually thinking as YouTube as an instrument to nurture my audience. This could be obviously new people that are coming to me. My goal around YouTube is not necessarily to grow. It's more around nurturing already my existing warm audience. So that could be my email subscribers, that could be members inside the school community, people that have signed up for some of my strategic freebies that are out there, and I'll even direct them. So you may have noticed if you came to my list building workshop and that was your first time working with me because you saw one of my ads or you saw one of my social media posts about it, or you heard me on a podcast and there was a link to the workshop, in between there, you would have signed up for the workshop and then there would have been a message back to you saying, hey, in the meantime, you should also check out my YouTube page. So people will go there and then get nurtured through the content that I have on my YouTube page. First thing I do, as I mentioned, I will do a video, then I will post on YouTube. I will also take the audio of this video and post it on my podcast. I take the transcript from this video and I plop it into an AI writing tool and instruct it to create an email for my subscribers. I also ask it for hooks for Instagram captions, for the caption and timestamps that I want on my podcast, and the footnotes in my YouTube video. I ask it to name the title of the podcast and the YouTube video. I'll ask it to come up with a Facebook post. I'll ask it to come up with a LinkedIn post. Like I just basically like, okay, I am going to be on all these platforms, but I don't want to have to write it all for every single platform. And let's face it, like there are criticisms out there, and I used to go through the AI shame where it's like, oh, I think I'm a pretty good writer and now I'm defaulting to AI and I don't want to let anyone know. I want to love my business. That is like one of the values that I have in my business is love. I want to love my business. I want to love my partner. I want to love my dogs, my kids, my neighbors. I don't want to like dread any of those type of things. These are the relationships that I've signed up for. These are the things that are like really important to me in my vision, values, and goals. So is there an opportunity to take away something that you don't love doing? For me, it wasn't the act of not writing. Like I love writing, but it was exhausting trying to keep up with all the different platforms. I do want to be seen from a visibility standpoint. My signature offer is a low ticket offer. So for me, I do need to be visible in other areas, meeting new audiences, getting into other groups. So it's not about sort of hiding behind the curtain and hoping people will come to me. I do need to put myself out there, but putting yourself out there and showing up every day can be physically exhausting. So I rely on AI tools to help me get my work done. And I'm like more efficient for it. I could spend 5 hours a week doing all of this content creation to help me build my list. Now I'm spending basically a Thursday afternoon for about an hour and a half, 90 minutes from recording the video all the way to editing, publishing, taking the transcript, writing the content. And I have a list building framework. It's just basically a grid, and it talks about all the tasks that you need to do, why you're doing it, what technology you need to help get it done, and really kind of what you're measuring at the end of the day. So it's important to also look at the measurements. Did this YouTube help me with my open rates? And I'm definitely seeing my open rates or my click-through rates getting up higher because people are like, yeah, I like Brenda's YouTubes. They're more informative. I'm getting more information. And I would have been sharing this anyways in a written post or trying to interpret this all into a 30-second reel or more like an 8-second reel on Instagram, which used to take so much of my time editing and trying to get it down to 8 seconds and picking the right music. I don't need to worry about any of that now. I use this long form content on YouTube to really get to know my audience and for them to get to know me. So think about that is there may be more steps in my list building process, but I'm using technology. I'm using AI. I'm actually getting it done faster. The other thing that's happening is because I spend my time on specific tasks during the week to get my list building activities done, it's kind of like the most important thing next to responding to a client. And actually, I used to have the mindset of like, oh no, I need to respond to every client's questions first thing when I wake up in the morning. Now I'm kind of like, no, I actually check my data from the day before. How are my ads doing? How's my YouTube video? What are my click-through rates happening? Then I decide on content that I want to create. I spend an hour and a half in that cycle that I just talked through with you, creating that content 1 day a week. publishing it out, making sure it's hitting all the touch points that I have out there. And that's what I do for the week. And then if I do post any other content on Instagram or LinkedIn, it's variations of whatever came out from that video because it's still there. But I'm also starting to think about the new video that I'm going to be creating. I'll even do in my stories polls like, hey, are you interested in this topic? Because I'm seeing some people in my community that are interested in it. Are you also interested in it? And I'll kind of get the vibe from people. And then that'll be my next topic for the next week's YouTube. One piece of content, start with YouTube, farm it out to your podcast, and then apply it to all different touch points that you have. But don't neglect your email list because they are the ones that really at the end of the day have the greatest commitment to you. People that are following you right now on a social media channel, it's great that they follow. It's great that they even comment or like your content. But if they are not giving your email list right now, I'm going to say that they're not as committed. And that's on you to get that commitment, to make that bridge to then get over to your email. They may not even know you have an email. They might not even know about your offers. Okay, I want to be able to wrap up a couple things here. So key takeaways, I think, from the session that people came back to me on, and I thought this was really cool that they walked away from this because this was definitely the intention of the workshop, was one, getting aligned around their vision, values, and goals when they're creating their offers, right? I need to make sure that my offers are coming from me, not what I'm seeing out there like, oh, everyone's like coming. Like that's just an algorithm feeding you information and it just plays like a huge mind F on your brain and your thinking versus I'm whole, complete as myself. I'm aligned to my vision, values, and goals, and I create this offer that's going to create this lifetime value for my customers because it's coming from me and the things that I'm doing and generating in my life and in my business. I'm going to focus it on one signature offer for marketing simplicity, for operational simplicity, for like building my personal brand. I want to be known for this one thing, this go-to that people can get. We talked about efficiency and content creation and using tools like AI and repurposing content across multiple platforms, using technology to help you do this. And then the emphasis on building an email list early in your business development process, right? Like don't go into the dark room, don't go into the lab and build out these offers and this whole like kit and caboodle and then start going to sell it. Start selling it in doses, warming up an audience, building your email list. It's not scary. They want to hear from you. And what better way to test drive some of your offers that you are beta testing, that you're masterminding over yourself in your business with a warmed up audience that's committed. They gave you their email list, one of like your most prized possessions. Like you may think it's art or a diamond ring or those great pair of shoes that you own or your kids or your house, but it's actually your email list because at the end of the day, no one wants to get spammed or phished. No one wants to get people like intruding into their personal email space. So the fact that they are entrusting you, that you are going to give them high value content in exchange for their email, that means that they already went from like cold stranger on the internet to warm potential customer that you can build a nourishing relationship with and eventually convert and sell an offer to. I'm glad that you stayed with me this whole conversation and listen to the gems. I'd love to hear from you. Drop a message in the comments, DM me on Instagram. Let me know what you thought of the session today. Feel free to leave a review, 5 stars, any of that, and absolutely check out the Aligned AF community if you want to learn more about this and get exposure to the templates, the tools, the training that we have that go into this in more depth. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.